Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Infinite Wish. I am Infinite Wish. So today I'm just going to be finishing Mars in the first house synastry. So let's just get right into it. So when Mars is sitting in someone's first house, okay, this can really annoy the first house person. They can get really irritated and annoyed. Like everything the Mars person does can kind of piss them off. And Mars really likes that. Mars knows how to push, first house person's buttons. So they kind of get off of that on that. Like they kind of like knowing that they can kind of get you upset. It's almost like they want to trigger that emotional reaction out of you. And almost they're kind of like any reaction is a good reaction. Like they want like a bold reaction out of the first house person. And, the downside to this, if you do get involved with somebody with the synastry aspect, Mars can be really aggressive. Mars can, try to control first house person, their whereabouts, if they're sleeping with anybody else. So basically Mars can say, hey, send me your location. Where do you live? Like Mars just wants to know almost where every place the first house person's going. So that would be one thing that you just have to be careful with this synastry. Next, I want to say Mars sees the first house person as a sexual playground. Basically to fulfill any desires or fantasies, they kind of look at the first house person and they're like, perfect, you can help me with this. So that's why Mars can be super, super persistent, because Mars knows that if they keep going and, pushing first house person will eventually cave and be like, oh, okay, so it's like Mars kind of expects it and knows it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when and, if they decide to give up or not. The thing about this is you can be bickering, going back and forth. And don't forget, synastry, you can have synastry with everybody. You can have synastry with your parents, siblings, friends. So, this can just be a bickering synastry, and then what does that lead to? Eventually makeup sex. So, these people can kind of thrive on that. And then first house persons also like that because they also want to get a reaction out of first house. So it's like this competition of, getting a reaction out of each other, or who cares less. It's all about reaction with this synastry, and then sex. So that's the best way I can describe it. And, the only downfall to the synastry is the burnout, because, when you are, relying on these heavy, hot emotions like anger, if you guys are emotional, like crying, when you rely on those hot emotions, it can lead to burnout and you can kind of get super tired. It's the same thing. That's why when it comes to synastry, you have to pull out the different energies, because Mars might not be so intellectual. Obviously Mars, because it's sitting in the first house too, it only wants to talk about, sex, physical activity. That's it. And where are you going? Are you hooking up with anybody else? That's all Mars really cares about. But the thing about this is when you guys are in public, Mars cannot get their hands off of first house person. It's so cute in that kind of way. You when you just see those people like that that couple, you know, that just really can't keep their hands off each other. This is that synastry. Like, you know, Mars can even go as far as like picking up first house person, like that kind of like, you know, romantic. I don't know, Mars is not romantic, but you know, like that playful, because Mars is playful. So like that, like you know, hand holding, and you know, the first house person loves it. Like the first house person's like, whoa, like, oh, I really like this. And yeah, Mars person just really can't help it. And like the funny thing about this synastry is, you know, especially if you guys do hook up or if you guys hook up constantly, Mars is like, the way Mars is acting, it's like they're entering, you know, a wrestling rink. Like they're trying to get prepared, and like you kind of looking at Mars like, are you good? Like, calm down. Like, you know, so, and Mars could just be like, oh my God, okay, we're doing this. And, you know, Mars really wants to impress first house person. And first house person is just kind of looking at, you know, Mars like, okay, like, you need to calm down. But Mars is, you know, could most be definitely, well, 100% could be hooking up with other people, you know, and then keeping first house in rotation. You know, Mars could be that kind of person that has other options, practices with other options, and then comes back to first house and, you know, test different things out, because it's like they really want to impress the first house person in a sexual way. So yeah. And even first house person like sees Mars as someone that, you know, that they could experiment with and try things out. So you know, the thing about that is you do everything under the sun, you get burnout, you get bored, and you know, you can fall out and lose communication. But then when you start communicating again with that person, it's like that energy's back. So like, again, these people can go through burnout, start talking again, and like this hookup will be better than the last hookup and the last one. Like, so, and like the chemistry with the synastry is really, really intense. This is just, you know, one of those people you just don't really forget. You know, especially when you guys are hooking up, like this is like the hookup you never forget. You know, basically. And you know, when you guys do fall out, and then you know, you know, it's just like this unseen sexual chemistry. It's like, you know, you can't explain it. It's just when you are in there in that passion, you know, it's like some, you know, one of those things that you don't really feel with everybody. So this, you know, other things may not work out depending on the other synastry that you guys may have, but yeah, this is something. And like, you guys can't help it, but the thing about this is Mars can be kind of dry. Yeah, and what do I mean by this? Like, unfortunately, like, you know, Mars can just be so blinded by the first house synastry that they can't think about anything else. So it's just one of those, you know, people, you know, it goes for both ends. Like, you just see this person strictly as a hookup, or, you know, you can't really get them outside of another box, because you can only work, it's like you work well in physical activity, that's it, you know, and it's just like you almost don't want to ruin it, you know, because it's so good. Like, you just want to keep this, you know, going on as long as possible. You know, this is the kind of thing you have to be careful. You could be stuck with a situationship for a year, 2 years, you know, because, you know, they embody everything physically. Like, you know, these people can go to the gym, they can put their energy through to creative pursuits. So like, even if you guys have like falling out, there's always going to be like this physical chemistry that you guys will have. And the thing about this Mars in the first house is there's lots of competition. Mars is like competing with the first house person, and first house person may not even really realize it. Like, yeah, it's like Mars almost wants to do like a one up on first house for whatever reason. Like, Mars feels like they have to do something way better than first house person. They may try to impress a first house person, and because, you know, Mars is what you go after as an individual, right? So Mars could just be trying to impress first house person with their career and this and that. But at the same time, Mars can be really manipulative. Mars can, I guess, you know, complain about how much they're struggling and this and that. So, and then that leaves first house person just to, it's only physical activity and that's it. You know, you're not getting nothing else from Mars. As in, like, you won't go to the gym together, you won't do anything like physical activity together, just you guys might just be hooking up and that's it. That's how Mars wants to leave it. But the thing is, as the synastry progresses, Mars is going to realize there's this other side to sex that they didn't know that they were kind of interested in. And this might only come out when they are with the first house person. You know, and at the same time, it can be really intense for Mars. So Mars can kind of disappear. Mars may, you know, not want to deal with anything so intense in a sexual way. So, you know, Mars can easily disappear and go with other hookups. But always like coming back to first house. But I honestly, with this, I'm gonna say that it's gonna be like, you know, first house that ends up initiating all the time. Mars can be super persistent, like I said in the beginning, but Mars will get burnout and Mars will get distracted and want to see what else is out there. And then that leaves first house person like, hey, like, I thought we were there. What happened? So a first house person can constantly reach out to Mars, and then it goes to a point where, you know, first house person can just feel used, even though they keep reaching out to Mars. So first house person can feel used in a sexual way for their body, for them, you know, as a person. So, because Mars is loving this, right? Like, but first house, you know, I can feel like Mars is using the first house. And, you know, this synastry is crazy. Like, this is, you know, I don't even know how to explain it. This could be like, because it's in the first house, you know, you could do it here, you could do it there, you could, like, if you can see how these people have sex, you will be mind blown. Like, you know, this is that synastry. Like, you know, because everybody can have sex, but the feeling, the chemistry, you don't have that with everybody, right? So they have that. And, you know, even when they kind of look at each other, they might not even think that, you know, might not even see each other as super attractive. But because this synastry is coming together, it's like it leaves them no choice. Like, it's like the energy is speaking louder than words, you know? I would just be careful for first house getting triggered by Mars. This can really rile their emotions to the next level. And Mars can be kind of rude. Mars might not even want to do anything for the first house person. only sexually, but like any other thing, any other favor, Mars can just be like, no, I'm not doing that. Because first house person may want to do all these things, like go to the gym, go for a walk, and Mars could just be like, nope, we're sticking to sex. Okay, let's look at the other